Coming up, a fire at the Blue Hills Power Station causes an island-wide blackout.
Also tonight, find out why this man is heading to port.
Police cracking down on crime by removing derelict vehicles in several abandoned homes in the Fort Fincastle area today. The details coming up in the Bahamas Tonight.
Now in HD. ZNS Network presents The Bahamas Tonight. This portion of the news brought to you by BTC Every Day.
More than half of the capital's electricity consumers could be without power tonight. Good evening, everyone. I'm Charisma Robinson.
And I'm Chris Saunders. Thank you so much for joining us. This is a developing story we've been following all afternoon. Now, this has followed a major explosion and fire at the Bahamas Electricity Corporation's Blue Hill Power Station. The incident happened shortly after 2 o'clock today, and this sent generator after generator offline at both the Blue Hill and Clifton Pier plants. In the end, an island-wide blackout was the result of some 7 generators affected by the blaze. This also left an employee in hospital.
Now, officials are warning consumers to buckle down for what could be a long night. ZNS News was the only station on the scene as technicians worked to begin the assessment and restoration process. Jared Higgs has the details.
Burnt cables and the smell of charred wires are what's left behind after a fire at the Bahamas Electricity Corporation's Blue Hills plant. Authorities say a fire ignited on one of its engine cables after 2 p.m. Friday, and it spread to several others, causing a massive power outage. General Manager of the power company, Kevin Baisden.
We had one of our 33,000 volt cables that connects to one of the generator transformers faulted. When that cable faulted, unfortunately, it started a fire in the trench, and some of the other control cables also caught fire. That initiated a cascading effect of our generators, causing an island-wide outage.
The fire was started by this transformer behind me. Workers noticed smoke coming out of the trenches and immediately investigated.
We have been able to isolate that fire with the assistance of the Royal Bahamas Police Force. So we successfully put out the fire that was in the trench. It was not a major fire, first of all, let me say that.
BEC Chairman Leslie Miller also visited the power plant to assess the damage. And while rumors on social media suggested that a worker was injured in the blaze, Mr. Miller clarified that claim.
One fellow got hurt, he injured his knee, but it had nothing to do with the fire. He tried to go to the way out of the fire and he got injured, but he's in good shape.
The cause of the fire is said to be faulty cables. However, some oil could be clearly seen in the trenches. In regards to household power being off going into the night, Baisden says his team will work around the clock.
Well, at present we are load shedding, but like I said, systematically we're going to bring on as many generators as we can to get power back. We would also be calling on our what we call gap customers, generation assistance. So with those commercial customers that do have standby generators, for them to run them as we continue to bring generation back on service. But as I indicated, we have all of our forces mobilized, and we will not leave until we can get supplies fully restored.
The efforts of BEC workers appear to be paying off. As our news team was leaving the station, power was restored to the newest engine.
It's a story we've been following all night. We'll stay on top of that as power is restored. In other news, police have charged 21-year-old Samuel Mackey with the murder of a 1-year-old toddler back on March 6th. The child was taken to hospital in an unresponsive state then. When Mackey appeared before Magistrate Andrew Forbes today, he was not required to enter a plea to the indictable offense. Bail was denied and he was remanded to the Department of Corrections. Following the matter, Mackey complained through his attorney, Krista Smith, he had been beaten by police, leaving him with a black eye. The attorney also alleged that Mackey had received threats from police and defense force officers as well. They are officers who told him he would be beaten, raped, and even killed while he was in prison. The attorney expressed concern about Mackey's mental health, while Magistrate Andrew Forbes noted the complaints, and he also promised to make the necessary recommendations for Mackey's mental health and safety while in prison. He returns to court on Tuesday when a date is expected to be fixed for trial. Also from the court, a judge resentenced former death row inmate Anthony Clark Sr. to 35 years in prison today for the 2011 contract killing of Elias Tillis. Clark was initially sentenced to death, however, the matter was overturned on appeal. During today's proceedings, the Crown asked for 49-year-old Clark to spend the next 35 years behind bars. They indicated that the murder was cold, calculating, and nothing more than a financial transaction for Clark, who they described as a danger to society. When called upon to respond, Clark told the court he did not do it, did not know the deceased, and was forced to confess. Justice John Isaacs then sentenced him to 35 years in prison after noting that Clark has shown no remorse for the crime. The sentence will be reduced by 3.5 years for time spent.
In keeping with their policing plan to ensure a safer Bahamas, police demolished several abandoned homes and vehicles that have become a safe haven for criminals in the Fort Fincastle area. LaDon Davis tagged along with officers while they conducted their demolition exercise and has the details in this report.
The ongoing cries by residents about the increasing number of vagrants and loiterers in the Fort Fincastle area has forced members of the Royal Bahamas Police Force to take action by demolishing abandoned homes and removing derelict vehicles Friday morning. Press Liaison Officer Assistant Commissioner of Police Stephen Dean says one of the force's top priorities is to ensure a safer Bahamas for Bahamians and visitors alike.
We decided to do an assessment in this particular area after concerns from residents of persons hanging out in abandoned buildings, 1 or 2 incidents in these abandoned buildings, derelict vehicles where guns and drugs, our officers have recovered firearms and drugs in these vehicles. So we decided to not to talk, but come here with action. And we were fortunate to get corporate citizens who said that they're going to volunteer and come and assist because they want to see a better Bahamas, they want to see a safer Bahamas for people to work, live, and play.
Meanwhile, a few residents we spoke to applauded police for their efforts in cracking down on crime in their busy community.
Extremely excited about it because with the trucks are moving the cars down there, I personally adopted the Chrissy left phrase that each before is doorstep swept. And I try my best to keep in the front of my area clean. And I
coming together of persons on the ground in the community to work in cooperation with the police and others who are interested in improving the community. So once we can get that kind of activity going, we will see a much better community.
General Manager of Bill Simmons Construction Company, Keno Simmons, talked about the company's strong partnership with the police as they seek to demolish at least 3 abandoned homes in the area.
We have partnered with the police and cleaning up. Like Superintendent Dan said, it's a good way to get rid of crime and safe havens where criminals could come together. We've done this in the past and we continue to support the police anytime they call on our company.
Now, police say they have received similar concerns by residents in other areas and plan to duplicate Friday's actions in the coming weeks in the Bain and Grantstown and Angliston areas. LaDon Davis, ZNS Network News.
In another push to reduce crime in the country, the Pan American Development Foundation, along with the U.S. Embassy and the Royal Bahamas Police Force, joined forces this week for the second installment of the Resistance and Prevention Program, which is also funded by the U.S. State Department of International Narcotics and Law Enforcement Affairs. 18 people from various non-governmental organizations and law enforcement officials completed the week-long program held at the Police College. Participants Alicia Wallace and Inspector Audley Peters both shared their experiences at Friday's graduation ceremony.
Participating in the Resistance and Prevention Program has been an enlightening and inspiring experience. It's given us the opportunity to identify the roles that we each play in our different capacities in preventing crime.
The fundamental of the program is to address the root causes of youth violence through social intervention in collaboration with each other.
The course is designed for crime prevention specialists from the police, defense force, government agencies, and civil society. All of this as a part of a regional anti-violence effort focused on youth.
Last summer, when your course facilitators were being trained, I sat in the back of their classroom and saw just how much enthusiasm there was for this type of training, this type of development, for these types of discussions between and across, different community holders looking to really devise a community-based approach to combating violence.
It is working with police, government ministries, and civil society organizations on a social crime prevention program for at-risk youth.
If we are able to shape our youth from a young age and give them a moral stability, self-worth, it is my opinion that this would be the the solution to some of our problems.
Government looks to ease concerns on online gaming money.
Also, young girls get guidance. You're watching the Bahamas Tonight, the National Report.
This segment of the news is brought to you by Shell Quality Fuels.